It can be pretty important to practice a difficult conversation with AI before you have it. You might learn some of the things you don't want to say and some of the things you do want to say and how to say them nicely.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome back to the show, friend. My new best friend, Craig, was with us today, and I am very excited for this topic. And it's going to be a little different than our normal feel, but it's so critical to everything that we do today. I mean, who of us doesn't use a computer or a phone or the internet at least 10 times a day or all day long? I don't think I can get away from it. So in all of this use, how do I keep me and my family safe? How do I make sure that I'm not one of those victims of identity theft or all of these things that are going on? So we're going to go a little bit technical today, but it's going to be fun. But before we dive in, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Craig, help us be secure. We'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimized.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right, Craig, I know I kind of going off my normal feel, but I felt like this is so important. So help me know how to stay safe in this world of technology. And not only is this a world where, we're now in this intelligent revolution. We have AI and all these things and all these bots going on everywhere that are collecting our data. I even know people that cover up their cameras because they don't want to be seen. So how do I stay safe and still be me?
Well, that's a great question. What's become evident to me in my career, and my background is in cybersecurity for a long time now, is that people often don't know what they don't know. This is cyber literacy is what I call it. You can think of it as cyber smarts, cyber awareness, but it all amounts to the same thing. It's how do we operate a computer, email safely and securely online? It would be great if our school system and our educational institutions teach us these skills, but unfortunately, Laura Jane, they just don't. And so we become employees of companies and we are expected to keep the company secure, but we just don't know how. We don't know how we're breached or how we're exposed or what are the right things to do. And unfortunately, the real truth of the matter is the cybersecurity industry is very much in need of a course correction. We focus the cybersecurity education that we give our employees. We do it with punishment-based exercises by sending fake email messages to the inboxes of our employees to see if they'll click and fail the test. And then they get the walk of shame down to HR or to their manager to have a conversation about why they clicked on something they shouldn't. And that's wrong. It's completely wrong. It focuses on the wrong things. In any kind of, my background, my degree is in psychology. So 30 plus years ago, I studied how people learn and change their behaviors. Punishment is an external force on an employee. And if they doesn't teach them the good skills and the things they need to do instead of the things they shouldn't do. So if we punish people for clicking on a link in an email that we sent to them, that doesn't change their behaviors. It only causes stress, anxiety, and fear, which we all have enough of already, right? We don't need more anxiety and fear. So what we ought to be doing is rewarding good behaviors, the things we need people to learn and understand, like How does a sender email address matter in a phishing email? Well, you should be looking for a single letter difference in the sender of an email to identify if it's been an attack email, a phishing email, and I mean phishing. And if you know what to look for on these little components and we reward those behaviors, people often very quickly realize the importance of this skill, internalize it, and apply it not only professionally at work, but on their personal lives. So, learning how to fish is one of the very best ways you can make your life less stressful and more confident, efficient by processing email.
You're talking about these phishing things. And
Hmm.
I think the fisher, the person out there trying to get your information, is really pretty informed of the
Hmm.
things that attract people. You know,
Hmm.
our curiosity is something that, oh, I wonder what that is. Oh, did you send this picture of me? Click here. Oh,
Hmm.
I didn't. Wait.
Hmm.
And I think I happen to be one of those ones who's not curious. I don't want the crap that people keep sending me. I just delete it away. Those phishing emails at work. I never got a perfect score because I just deleted them and I didn't report them. I never
Right.
opened
Right.
one, but I didn't report them either. And so I never got rewarded or patted on the back for the phishing email test. But it's how do you turn off that curiosity? Because
Mhm.
I really think, like, why would this person be sending me anything? It's not him. Delete.
Right.
And
Mhm.
it's our nature to learn. How do you
Right.
turn that off?
Well, I think it's by learning the things you don't know about phishing, right? It's teaching employees about how hackers use curiosity is definitely one thing, urgency is another, and emotionality is a third. Those three things combine to make people react. And the first and most important lesson I could share with anyone listening to this is to not react to an email. You need to respond thoughtfully after 1 or 2 seconds. I've done 100 investigations to breaches at companies, and phishing is usually the number one way companies are breached. The second is password hygiene or poor password hygiene. And to a person, they all said, Craig, in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have clicked if I just thought about it for a moment because that person doesn't ever send me invoices or that person hasn't emailed me in 5 years. Why out of the blue did they send me a link to a picture of myself that doesn't make sense? I could have called them because they're in my phone, right? So we always suggest to people, first of all, learn how phishing works, become a person that understands phishing to protect yourself. And we say, don't react to things, don't respond thoughtfully. That's a good piece of advice.
As you're talking about that, that's a subject we talk about all the time is responding instead of reacting because it in more of the personal someone said something to me and I've always framed it as that external influence that's physical, not intelligent. Like, no, but they are intelligent. How would I say that? Not a computer.
Hmm.
Because we do talk about setting those boundaries. We do talk about pausing and responding. And I have one of the things that off subject, but kind of on subject that I always got reamed for at work was not pausing and reading my email before pushing send because it was so important to get out now. And then you realize you change thoughts in the middle of a sentence and it doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
it's that same thing of before I respond to this email, breathe. What is it?
Hmm.
Take a moment. Could this really be real? And why
Hmm.
not? Why not do it in everything?
It's so true. I mean, I could learn from that too. I need to reread my emails more thoughtfully before clicking send. I just sent one the other day and it had two ending, sincerely, Craig, thank you, Craig, because I had used AI to help draft a welcome email for someone. And I pasted it in and I read through the content that I pasted in, but then I missed these signature and I
The automatic
duplicate
signature on
the
the
automatic
email.
signature.
Now,
So I'm like,
that one I have done at least 1,000,000 times.
yes, yeah. So reviewing the whole thing is important, and taking a breath before you click send is a great advice. And I'm going to use that today.
You know what? The other thing I do is I will read the top sentence, push reply and get an answer, and realize there's 3 more questions in the email. I
Hmm.
actually had a boss that said, never, ever send me more than 1 question in an email. Send me 3 emails in a row if you need to, but I will
Hmm.
never read past that first sentence. It's like,
I
I've
I
done
ha-
that.
we have this problem in society that email has become so overwhelming that it's nearly impossible to stay up on. I don't know how many emails you get a day, but I'm probably at 300, and I have to delete 80% of them, 90% of them, and just take action on 10%. But it's so difficult to stay uh, human in my inbox because there's just so much of a desire to delete, 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 right? And many times people are asking for help, or there's a podcast invitation, and I want to focus on the meat and potatoes of what this life is about, and that is helping folks like you out with what I might be a subject matter expert in, and sharing the knowledge that we build at Cyberhood around cyber literacy skills. So it's really challenging for a lot of people.
Here's how I manage my inbox. I click at the top, delete, the mark all,
Hmm.
and then I scroll through and go, nope, keep that one. Nope, keep that one. And then I push the delete button. It's like, okay, these are the 2 I need to deal with. Because I don't even look beyond the title because, like you said, 80% of it is 100% useless to me, just
Hmm.
advertising.
Hmm.
And my daughter went, oh, that is a faster way to do that. Because she watched me one day and was like, I just don't even want to be bothered with the noise. So it's delete all these, but keep these 3.
And what's the worst that could happen if someone's email that they sent you on a subject was important enough? They'll send it again, or they'll call you and say, "Did you see this?" And you can secretly go into your trash bin and say, "I see it now. I missed it," and restore it to your inbox. That's a great way. I like that advice. I'm learning more than I'm giving here. This is a good reverse role reversal. I love it.
It's just something I learned a long time ago. It's just like, why have the noise? Because it's just noise. Now, there are people that like it. There are people who enjoy those s- spam emails, and that's okay. Do
Mm-hmm.
it. If you like them, keep them, read them,
Mm-hmm.
but watch for the phishing. So, Craig, what
Right.
are some of the best practices that we can do? I don't know if we want to say identity theft or securing. I mean, because phishing is both. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of talked about using AI and how to keep it secure. So,
Mm-hmm.
which one would you like to answer first?
Well, let's use AI because I think that's on everybody's mind. Everyone's getting nervous about losing their job to an AI bot, or not understanding AI enough to put their own business at risk. So maybe we should talk about some of the best practices there to both protect our businesses from exposing sensitive and confidential information to the AI agents of the world, and also how we can use it to make our lives a little easier, because it can be pretty important to practice a difficult conversation with AI before you have it. You might learn some of the things you don't want to say and some of the things you do want to say, and how to say them nicely.
Well, if you count the real, like ChatGPT, like I've been using Grammarly and stuff like that, which is AI for since it came out. I think I
Hmm.
was one of the first adopters. But with the other AI, I've been using it solid for 2 years. And I
Hmm.
started doing a meetup called The Non-Technical How to Use AI. Because
Oh, good.
some of it is just, you get into all these AI things and they're so technical. And it's like, I just want to know how to do it. Just
Hmm.
show me how to set a voice, show me how to
Right.
do these things. And it's great. And I even started using him. I named him. I gave him a dog
Mhm.
because, everybody has to have a dog. And his dog, this is really stupid, is a golden retriever. And his name's Data because he goes and gets the golden nuggets for me.
There you go. I love it. Those are great analogies.
But it's like I'll type it, like I'm really frustrated and I'll type it all in and go, make me a nice email for this. And I don't even have to think of the nice words.
Mhm.
He'll come up and give it to me and I genderized him. How many people have a female AI? I'm just curious.
Well, it depends who you're asking, right? I might have to name my AI something female. I don't know. That's maybe a little weird. My wife might get a little suspicious.
I called mine coach. It could be
Coach?
either, but he
Yeah,
coaches me through things. So,
perfect. I love it.
anyway, he will pick up all the words, then I can read them and I can go, "Okay, let's make that larging," because you do still have to change it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you do. We were talking about this, and I think something that people need to understand at a very fundamental or basic level, AI has two models. There's a public LLM and there are private LLMs.
What
And
does LLM stand for?
it's a large language model.
Okay.
The AIs of the world have learned by ingesting all the books they can read and all the conversations on Reddit they can have access to and all the websites conversations that they can consume from X and other places. And that helps them answer questions by having all of this knowledge in their database. And that's why they're called LLMs. And public LLMs that you might use can ingest your conversation into answers they give other people. So if you have a conversation with coach and it's a difficult one and it's about a colleague at work, you should probably not use the full name of that colleague. You should just use either a fictitious name or the first name of a person so that out of context, there's nothing that can be added to an LLM. So if someone searches for that person's name, they're not going to find any information from your conversation because they can't identify you or the person by full name. So keep it generic when you're having those difficult conversations in a public LLM. Most people aren't using private LLMs because that costs a lot more money. You have to pay extra for that. So when you do use a private LLM, some companies, corporations are purchasing and deploying an internal LLM to help their employees be more productive without the risk of putting sensitive and critical information into the world of public LLMs. Is that making sense?
Absolutely. And I thought maybe we could pause and talk about personal identifying information, which is PII
Mhm.
in the corporate world. And that is the information that would help somebody else take
Mhm.
over that person's identity. And it usually takes two pieces of data to really hit that. You look up Lara Jane, there's hundreds of us. So that's not, but if you put in Lara Jane Layton, there's
Mhm.
two or three. So
Mhm.
it's like narrowing it down. Now have a birthday. Ooh, she's in her 60s. That narrows it down even more. So how do we use or what things do we avoid? Like it's my personal, I want to send my son a birthday and say, happy birthday. You're now 40 something. Wa la la.
Mhm.
Is that too much I mean, where does it cross that line of too
Well,
much information for these public LLMs?
I think you're safe sending your son's date of birth in a birthday greeting because it's already out there dozens of times, right? Your son's, your data, my data, even my social security number is out there. We don't need to add to the problem by giving our social security number to our healthcare provider. In my intake form, it asked for my social. I refused to give it. It wasn't a required field, but they asked for it. I'm like, you don't need that. Why give it to them? So I would say always use a little bit of caution about divulging, to your point, two bits of information. If I just emailed a credit card number, a valid credit card number to you, it would be useless to anyone that found it because, well, they might gather that it's my name from my email address, Craig Taylor, but it would not have anything else to go with it, the expiration date or the CVV. It's the combination of these things that matter. So if you're looking at a health record, but you don't know who it belongs to, there's no name attached, it's useless. It doesn't provide any details that are sensitive. If you're looking at a credit card number without the full name of the person or their address, it's useless. It's the combination of these things. So don't be putting into your chat GPT your full address, your full name, and your credit card number, and your expiration date and your CVV. That's a really bad idea. But putting in, a conversation, a difficult conversation, saying, I have to talk to my husband about sharing more of the duties around the house because I'm a corporate executive. How can I have that conversation and be kind and friendly but firm and clear about what I expect, what my needs are? And then you can have that conversation with the LLM. You don't have to put in your husband's name, your name, or your address, or any of the identifying details. And you can actually practice that conversation so that when you go to have it, you're not triggered by something that maybe is a sensitive topic for you. You're prepared for that comment when your loved one has it, whether it's your wife or your husband or significant other. I think
Well,
that's a
and even
use.
your coworkers,
Yeah, sure.
okay, George just showed up late for the third time in a row. What's going on? And how do I ask him without making it like, you're late?
Yeah, right. Right, exactly right. And that's where AI really helps. It can really help a lot. There's actually a lot of AI services out there that are designed for counseling people on issues and challenges that they face. And I'd say it's worth a shot trying it sometimes, if that's something that would be helpful to you in your life.
Yeah, to put all our therapists out of business or all the coaches out of business. But, it is helpful to have that. It's so hard. I do my podcast names in it, and there's certain rules I have. And with AI, you just have to keep reminding them because they're human. They're just like your kid. They're not like an adult. You do need to remind them more often. One of my biggest things that I have to remind is no M dashes. Take those out. And if you don't know what an M dash is, that's the long dash that AI loves to put in. And I tell him, if a human knew how to type this, I would be okay with it. But it looks so unhuman because it has these in it. And how do I get them out? So I just constantly take it out.
Mhm.
But it's like, I don't know if you know how to type it, and I don't know for sure, but I know it's one of those alt and some keys. Like I have written down on my computer alt 0174 to get the registered mark. Like when you're
Mm,
like, I've whatever that word is, I've trademarked my name and silencing
mhm,
your inner bully. And when I write those, I have to do it. So I'm not
mhm,
going to remember 0174. So I have it on my sticky note. So the M dash is the same thing. It's an alt and a set of numbers, and then you get it. Humans
mhm.
don't type like that.
In 40 years of computer use, or 45, I've not typed one M dash ever.
Me either. But AI will put million in everything you write. So you just
Right.
have to be very persistent with it.
I agree.
So to me a little bit more about these counseling sites. Are these like paid sites? Are these like or could general chat GBT and I use that because that's mine and I know there's thousands out there or even millions, I have no idea. But that other people like just as well. I just got started earlier. So I
Mhm,
didn't get it's like once you have a voice and a rhythm, that was like changing from DOS to Windows. Oh, wait, not all
mhm,
of us are that old. Um,
mhm.
there's a change in the process.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with the counseling services that are out there, but I know AI well enough to know that there are important specialties that you can train an AI to respond to someone that has um, anger management issues, or someone that has um, had PTSD, or someone that has this or that or the other thing. And it can be an anonymous way to deal with your grief, or deal with your anger, or deal with your traumatic stress, and without it being an embarrassing situation, because many people don't want other humans to know that they're struggling with X, Y, or Z. And so you can have this anonymous bot or AI agent help you work through those issues. It could be it could be helpful. I'm not a psychologist, a classically trained psychologist, so don't take my advice as gospel. But I do know that I've had some wonderful conversations with ChatGPT about difficult emails to write or difficult conversations to have. And I think it's a resource. It's a new resource that could be helpful to you. And so that's something to play around with, and use first names and don't put in personally identifiable information. But it's okay to have those conversations and see find your voice the way you want it to sound when you have that conversation with a loved one.
You know, it's so great to have that. And not only is it impartial, but it's not judging you. When you type anything in there, I can get pissy at even AI. Like, can you not, like, when I was a computer program, well, if I told it not to put an M dash in, it would never have an M dash. Can you not at least do this? And it's like, no, because that's not how we were trained. So it's like, I can start getting mad, and he doesn't even care. You can type, "You're a stupid idiot, stop me." And I've never typed it that mean, but you can do that, and it doesn't phase them. Like
I
you
had
can go ahead.
I had that same conversation with my ChatGPT, because I do a lot of blog posting and email writing, and I'm using it a lot. And I'm asking it, please don't use M dashes. And in the same conversation, it added an M dash back in. And I said, hey, you answered that with an M dash. I am so frustrated by you because you keep forgetting to take the M dashes out. And I want you, I forget what I said, but its answer was, I'm going to take this M dash out to the woodshed. I was like, that's what the AI said. I was like, oh, it's being funny with me. I love it. That's great. That's a good answer. And it stopped using them for that next 5 minutes, and then it
Yeah,
added them back.
but that's why I say it's like a toddler. You just kinda
Mm,
have to keep reminding it and
right.
go ahead and get pissy. It's
Yeah.
okay. They don't
Yeah.
care. They're not gonna be mad and give you the silent treatment.
That's right. So true. Mm,
So we've talked about using it for counseling. We've talked about using it to look at our emails and make sure they're toned where we want them to be. And that practice in itself would give me that pause. Like, here, I just typed this in, put it into uh, ChatGPT and say, hey, clean this up for me. And it would
mhm,
find those stupid little mistakes that I keep sending off to the world.
mhm,
And we've talked about using it for communications with our families and our coworkers. So, in all of this, and how to make it safe. But one thing we haven't touched on, which we talked about a little bit going into this, was password management. And I know
mhm.
I don't want to hear more password management because I just want one password and I want it to work everywhere because I can't remember them all.
Right.
Or I have chosen not to care enough to remember them all.
Mhm,
So, how, what can I do to better stay secure?
mhm,
Like, I use a system and it tells me, "You've reused this password." I
mhm.
don't care.
So that's a password manager that you're using, right?
Yes.
Uh, I have talked to dozens, if not 100, cybersecurity researchers and professionals in my line of work. That's what I do. And to a person, they've all said that learning and adopting a password manager is the lesser of all evils when it comes to your identity online. People will come to me and say, Craig, well, I'm not going to adopt a password manager because no software ever written is free of bugs and breaks and compromises. And they're right. They're absolutely right. But any other system you're using to remember passwords is full of holes that are bigger and more risky to your identity online, to your bank accounts and your financials and all of that. What we're talking about is the second most common way companies and individuals are breached or hacked. It's password hygiene or poor password hygiene. The only way to fix that is to adopt a password manager. And not all password managers are equal, Laura Jane. I would say that it's important to consider a password manager from a vendor that gets a lot of what we call third-party assessments. Password manager companies can have an assessment of their architecture to make sure there aren't any holes in it. They're using good firewalls and they're protecting their data that's in the password manager properly. They can get a code review, a static or dynamic or web application pen test on their application code to make sure hackers can't pull threads and tease out of it data. They
Okay,
can
so
get
quick, not everybody's going to know what a pen test is.
penetration test. Thank you. I'm trying to simplify it so that people understand. It's a human being knocking on all the doors, windows, gate of the application to see that they're locked and they're secure. And there's no back door that's been left open to worm their way into the application to steal our data. And having other people, professionals from all around the world in different companies look at your password management software and try to find opportunities to harden it further, to make it more resilient to attack, is a very powerful tool to use. Not all password managers have done that. I have looked at 3, and I'd be happy to share their names on your podcast if you like, that do those things multiple times a year and open their business processes for inspection, for third-party reviews. My favorites are 1Password, the number 1, and then the word password, Bitwarden, 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 and Keeper, Keeper. Those 3, if you look at their website and the third-party reviews they've gone through, have a very long list of certifications, accreditations, and penetration tests and vulnerability assessments. So they're asking for a lot of other people to help them secure our data that is entrusted to them. And so that is a really good thing. Now, you have to also remember to set a very long pass phrase on your password manager. Think of your password manager, for everyone listening, as a safety deposit box in a bank vault that is protected with all kinds of physical security. And the only way you can get in is if you prove you are who you say you are, right? To your bank vault. The bank will say, well, we need to make sure it's your vault, not anyone else's. So you get walked into the room and you've been authenticated with picture ID and all that stuff. The equivalent in your password manager is the passphrase you use to unlock it. Why am I using this thing called a passphrase? What is that? Isn't it just a password? Well, it is, but it's something that you can easily remember. Remember my psychology degree? The human mind can remember a phrase of 5 words in a row that might be funny and nonsensical to the average person. But it's something memorable to you, and you can type it in to unlock your password manager. Now, that alone is not enough. We often want a second factor. And, this is something that you may have heard of called multi-factor authentication. There are 3 ways to identify who you are. Something you know, that would be your passphrase. Something you are, Face ID, unlocking your phone or your thumbprint in years gone by, or something you have. Your phone is actually something you have. No one else has your phone, hopefully, right? It's just yours. So when you combine any 2 of those things, something you know with something you have or something you are, that becomes multi-factor identification of your identity to the password manager. You always need to turn on that second factor to get into your password manager. And that is the gold standard to identifying yourself to this password manager. And then what that does is it allows you to have a unique 15 to 20 character random string of passwords to get into a website, any of your websites. And I have 400 or 500 myself that I've used over the years. It will store something new that is coming, is just becoming popular in online identity management. Something you may have heard of is called a pass key. A pass key is a single step multi-factor identifier. Passkeys are just like when you go to a website that has a lock on it, and that means your communication from your browser to the website is encrypted through public and private key encryption, which we don't have to get into, but it's secured. Well, a pass key is a cryptographic communication tool between that website and you, and it has some very important advantages over traditional usernames and passwords. It is only good between you and that website. So if it's ever stolen, because what happens with passwords is they're stolen a lot and then they're reused in other places. So if you use your favorite password on yahoo.com to log into your email, but then you also use that password over here to get into your bank, and one of those two are breached or compromised, the hacker can see your password and then try it on multiple other websites to get in. And that's where we get into trouble. So passkeys cannot be stolen. Multi-factor is the last line of defense when someone has your username and your password and they go to log into some critical account like your VPN, a virtual private network into your business, or your bank account or any financial institution, or even your email account. That multi-factor is that second factor that the hacker can't steal because they don't have you, the person. They don't have your phone, the thing. They might have gotten your password, the thing you know. So that's the best practice around password hygiene. And really, the only way to become very hygienic in your passwords is to have adopted a password manager and learned how to use it.
Oh, and I do have almost, I should say all, just to cover my butt, but I don't. But almost everything is the two-factor authentication. But
Good.
sometimes I don't have my phone with me, and it wants
Hmm.
this key, and I'm running all over, like, where'd I leave my phone? It's like, oh, life is
Yeah,
so much fun.
it is. It is. But, that's a good thing. I think that the inconvenience of occasionally not having your phone is way better than having to go to court to prove you're Laura Jane or I'm Craig because someone else out there has stolen our identity. And now we have to prove we are who we say we are to get it back. And that is a very painful and long and arduous process. And it can be really damaging to your credit file, your credit report when someone else steals your identity. Or, I do incident response. And I'll give you one sobering statistic just for your listeners. Last year in the world, the third largest economy in terms of the GDP it created after the United States, who was first, and China was second, you would expect that, was cybercrime, not India or Germany or any of these other major countries of the world. Cybercrime created more wealth for the hackers than the third and fourth largest economy of the world. It's an enormous problem. I am on 3 security incidents this year so far where $1.4 million was wired to bad people because someone breached a bank account of a person that I'm helping. Another was business email compromise. Someone got into a person's email account and was doing some bad things there. And another was a ransomware event where hackers stole data and threatened to release it for a law firm that I'm helping recover from. All of these were preventable with some multi-factor and some good password hygiene and understanding phishing. But unfortunately, we haven't all been taught that. And it's a battle that I fight every day because what we do at Cyberhoop, my company, is we try to make that fun and entertaining and engaging and reward the good things that you learn to be better cyber citizens online instead of just punishing what you shouldn't do. Don't click, don't, react to bad emails, don't, use the same password everywhere. That's all bad, bad, bad. And just punishing the bad without rewarding the good it doesn't work. And so that's why we see all these breaches.
My last 10 years of working was
Hmm.
in a banking environment. So very, very cyber conscious, very,
Hmm.
uh, you had to take training like every 3 months on how to be aware. How much do other industries really share how to avoid phishing, how to have really strong passwords with their employees? I don't know. I mean, I was in retail before that in the corporate world, um,
Hmm.
and I don't remember the same level, but also things have changed.
Hmm. Well, people recognize that you need to train and govern and guide and test your employees. But the industry, cybersecurity, is still immature and it's still focusing on the negative, on the punishment approach to reducing the bad behaviors that lead to breaches without putting enough attention and focus on teaching the good behaviors. It's one of the reasons the cyberhood is very commonly adopted at schools, educational institutions, because they're the number one target for ransomware attacks. Why? Because they have cyber insurance. The hackers know if I can get these overworked and harried teachers to click on a link and introduce ransomware to the school system where they have student data, right? That's very sensitive data, and we encrypt it or we extract it and we threaten to release it to the internet, to the people of the world, where you can't allow that to happen in a school district. So they immediately call their lawyers and they call their cyber insurance and they pay the ransom. It makes them a huge target. What we do, though, at Cyberhood is we mirror the classroom. We teach people through engaging, fun exercises to tweak their curiosity and their engagement to then say, oh, it's really not complicated. I just need to know what typo squatted domain names are, how a hacker will drop the I in Netflix.com and send me an invoice. And if I can recognize the I is missing, so it's not Netflix, and that's what hackers do, I can delete that and move on with my day. I don't even have to worry about it. So by rewarding that, through some minor reward trinkets like a certificate of completion, an avatar owl, baby owl that turns into a more defensive looking owl over time, people get engaged in learning how to fish, and then they quickly learn how to fish, and then they become much more efficient, secure, and let's say confident in their inbox because they know exactly how phishing works and they can confidently delete stuff, delete, and not worry about it. When you only send fake email messages and you punish people for clicking, they become fearful, anxious, and completely shut down on trying to learn these cyber literacy skills. They just send all the emails to IT and say, tell me if this is an attack. I can't tell. That's no way to react and no way to behave, no way to treat your employees. It's like training a dog with a shock collar instead of treats. Hurricane won America's Got Talent 2 years ago. Hurricane was a dog, this beautiful border collie, and the trainer on stage was feeding it treats throughout the performance, and the dog was having a great time. Its tail was wagging. It was the happiest dog you've ever seen. The audience loved it. Even the trainer was excited to be there. The judges were excited. Everyone was happy because it was a reward treat based training and exercise. Now, if that dog was trained with a shock collar, no one would have enjoyed that at all. So why do we treat our employees with shock collars? It just doesn't work. We need to learn that.
I like reward-based things. We used to, at the bank, we had a clean desk policy. Nothing gets left
Hmm.
out because it may have confidential information on it. You can't just leave a stack of papers out. So it all had to be put away. If it didn't, it was taken. It was taken for ransom. If you left it on your desk, your computer or papers or anything that had any data, it was taken. But if you
Hmm.
passed, you got candy.
That's so wonderful. I mean, there has to be consequences in a bank for not following the rules, the published policies. I don't disagree with that. And I don't say that you can't send, after you provide all this education, just like in a classroom in school, you teach the subject and then you have a final exam to measure that the students learned what you were teaching them and that they paid attention, they put in the effort. That's what your bank was doing. I think there is a place to send a pretend email to the inboxes of users once a year, twice a year, after you've taught them how to phish, because they need to be held accountable, no doubt about it. But you can't start with that to get this really high baseline of people who fail, because it disengages your community of employees. They begin to abdicate responsibility to the IT team, and they don't learn. They don't get engaged. A little bit of reward mechanisms get people engaged, and then you don't have to keep the rewards there. You just have to let them realize the value of knowing how to phish. And then they internalize it and off they go. The same with password managers. I have a story of a Rotarian friend of mine, Laura Jane. I had to get him on a password manager. He was 65 and he had run a business, a printing business for 30 years. And he was asking for my help because they had had some close calls with passwords. And I said, well, you have to adopt a password manager for all your employees and yourself. And you have to do it too, Mr. Business Owner. And he goes, I don't know. I'm an old dog. I don't know if I can learn this trick. So I said, you have to do it. And he tried. And so I meet at Rotary meets once a week. So the next week I meet with him, and the minute I was in the room, I was sitting down with my lunch, and he comes storming over to me, goes, Craig, what have you done to me? This is terrible. I am so frustrated by this tool. I can't believe you're making me do this. And I talked him off the ledge. It took me a while, but I said, listen, you're not a dumb person. You're going to get this. It's going to take some time and effort, but you're going to get it. He said, I'll give you another week. And so the next week we go to lunch, and he comes in and he's a little bit shy about coming up to me, but he comes up to me and says, I'm starting to understand this, and it's actually pretty good, but it's still frustrating, Craig. This is not an easy tool sometimes. Websites, they don't call their password login a password login. So the tool just sits there dumb as a post, and I have to make it put in my credentials. And that is true, because as developers, you know this too, Laura Jane, if you don't call the login field username and password, the password manager doesn't know what to do. So you have to force it. But fast forward one more week, he comes in and he shakes my hand. He goes, Craig, I'm the happiest guy alive. I can't believe I did 30 years of computers without this tool. It is the best thing since sliced bread. Now that I understand how to make it work, I'm so glad you made me learn this. It wasn't easy. It was painful at first, but I really appreciate it. And I'll tell you, that has played out multiple times as I've forced people to learn this tool to a person. They all appreciate having gained that skill because it's so efficient and it's such a security and productivity enhancer. People can't live without them once they've made the time and the investment. But it can be a little bit challenging at first.
Yes, it can, but everything in life is a little bit challenging. And if our babies chose to give up the first time they fell on their butt when they're trying to walk, nobody would be walking. So it's something that we just have to keep trying. We get to. We don't have to do anything. We can be an invalid if that's what you choose. But
Mhm.
as we choose to make progress in our own lives, we free ourselves. You know, I'm not giving you my safe combination, but my husband has every website and everywhere he's ever been with every password. So if he dies, I can get into it. And I've tried to get him to do a password manager. Just give me access to your password manager. It's one password.
Mhm.
That's too hard. And so
Well,
it is. Go ahead.
I have one more important tip, right? Because next of kin is built into all password managers today. I can, in my password manager, and I've done this. If I don't log into my one password, and I'll tell anybody that's what I'm using. If I don't log in for a period of a month, then there's an automated email that goes to my spouse that says, "Your next of kin, Craig, hasn't logged in a month. Do you need to recover access to his accounts?" And she can do that. She could do that. Now, we have a shortcut that she can get to my master password in a special location that is very, very safe and no one could get to. Okay. But so there's always a backup to that. But a lot of times we hear now people adopt a password manager, they don't set a next of kin. And then when the children have to come and help, grandma's estate and they're lost, they can't get into any of the accounts. And it's a very arduous process. So if you do adopt a password manager, make sure you follow the next of kin setup for your password manager to someone you trust that will be around to help um, take care of your estate. I think if I was to die, I wouldn't want to make everyone else around me's lives more miserable. They might be celebrating my departure. I don't think so, but it's fun to think about it. But I want to make the transition easy. And so that's important. That's a very important tip for these new tools that people sometimes forget.
It is nice. Not only do you need to trust them, but also somebody who is savvy enough to remember or to give it a try.
Give it a go and learn how to use it. That's right.
I've given my husband access to a lot of things and he never will try to pick it up. It's like, yeah, he must
Yeah.
trust me. All right. Hey, Craig, this has been a lot of fun and very informative, something a little off our normal subject. But one of the things that I like to end all my shows with is what is that one thing our friend here with us today can do this week to free up some time that they can get back in their lives? And out of all the things you've talked about, there's so many of them, but what do you think would be that top one thing to try this week?
Well, AI model that we talked about to help write some of her difficult emails. She's got to do reviews. She's got to write some have difficult conversations. I would say to anonymously put that chat GPT to good use to help phrase the things you want to say, maybe to your family members or to your work employees, and to help draft some of the reviews or draft some of the difficult emails for you because it'll just simplify and it's a force multiplier. AI can really improve your productivity when you use it properly. Now, the key tip that you gave us is to ask it not to use M dashes because anyone getting an email with an M dash says, oh, AI created that. You didn't write it. Even if you reviewed it to make sure it said exactly what you wanted to say. Because the prompting of an AI is what really matters. Telling it how your tone of voice is and what you want to say and how you want to say it is as important to the output of the what comes out of AI. So I would say that would be our number one tip. We can give her back just 5 minutes a day. Don't spend it on someone else. Spend it on yourself. Take a break for a moment. Have a quiet time in your car. Listen to a podcast on your way home in the car from Laura Jane and get more tips for better living. That's the kind of thing, but don't spend it on others. Spend it on yourself because if you're not charging your own battery up, you don't have much to give anyone else anymore. And I think we all want to give our family something. We just have to have something to give.
Yeah, that charging your battery, we are all so good at plugging our cell phones in at night and making sure they're fully charged. And if it loses charge in the middle of the day, we plug it back in. We don't plug it in for 5 minutes and then unplug it and keep going because that's not going to keep you all day long. So do the same to your body, recharge and however you can do that. I love it. Craig, tell us a little bit about what you do, how to get a hold of you. What if I wanted to say, hey, what is this cyber hoot thing and how can it help me?
Thank you for that. So, Laura Jane, 10 years ago, I used my background in psychology and my love of education and my cybersecurity experience and the overlapping circles all landed on a company that I co-founded with three magical other co-founders called Cyberhoot. And we take psychology theory to change behaviors at companies that this woman is working at and anywhere else through positive reinforcement. If you positively reinforce your employees just enough, they will internalize the knowledge you give them about cyber literacy as it pertains to learning how to phish or password hygiene. Those are the two big ones. And then we add to that a monthly video, these phishing exercises. It's a fully automated system any company can adopt very easily to teach their employees cyber literacy in ways that stick instead of punishing them. Most companies are out there using sticks to punish employees. We use carrots to reward them for the good things. That's the simplest way. Now, for your listeners here today, anyone can get free training as an individual for life. We will give you all our videos, all of our phishing exercises on a cadence of once a month, once a quarter for phishing, all for free. So just go to cyberhoot.com/individuals with an S, and you can register there. We don't sell your data. We don't market. Well, we might send you an email saying, if you really like this, maybe you could bring us to your IT team or to your MSP, because that's how we grow. And it would be a good give and take for that. I think that's fair, but we won't do that, every month. We'll do it once or twice. The reality, though, is that this will teach you some cyber literacy skills that will give you an advantage in your job and in your personal life. It's personally and professionally beneficial. Now, if you want to register your company, I'm going to give anyone on this podcast that registers with the referral link, Laura Jane Podcast, 20% off fees for a year. So you will pay 20% less for 1 year if you register your company for a trial or your MSP. That's what we can do to give back to your wonderful podcast listeners as a special thing. So that's what we do, and that's who I am. And we're trying to make the world a little bit of a better place, one person at a time, through cyber smarts training, cyber literacy training.
That's beautiful. I've enjoyed this, and I'm thankful for your time. Friend Craig and I are not licensed medical or mental professionals. We're here for entertainment. People that want to help you along your path to keep you safe from anything that internet could do to us or for us. I like the internet to do things for me.
Me too.
Yes. So this has been great. Thank you for joining, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.